Welcome to Take Two, a discussion of the times and current events. I'm joined as always by Adam Matlack and Mike Pomerantz. Today, I'd like your general thoughts on Governor Cuomo's performance so far, and does that performance include him in the presidential discussion now or in the future?
Okay, so I'm gonna hit this. Look, I'm gonna say his name wrong. It's Cuomo. I don't really care. I'm from Texas. I've got a lot of people in New York. My whole entire mom's side of the family is all in New York. They're all New Yorkers, and I haven't asked them about him, and I won't because I don't care. The reality here is this guy is absolutely taking advantage of this situation. And I'm not blaming him for it. Like, I don't blame him for it. Like, most people want a, an overlord, to be honest. They want to be told what to do. They want to look like, oh, he's got this in charge. He's doing this. I mean, what is he doing? He's not doing anything. He's sitting up there talking about stuff, having active pressers, and pretending like he's getting stuff done, pretending like he's helping the situation. In my opinion, he's not doing anything. However, he is pushing his name up. I saw a thing earlier today. He's 89% approval rating. That's pretty high for somebody in his position. The guy, in my opinion, in so many ways, is just an idiot. And he has positioned himself to have the moderates of the party who are worried about Biden's strength physically, mental acuity, all these other things. We've seen articles talking about him being a potential run. And I think he probably will have a potential run. I think he'll get destroyed in the future, but I think he's in the conversation, especially if this lasts an extended period of time and people view it as if he's done something. If anything, I don't think he did anything special at all. And so the measurement for me would be, what's going to be next if it's not Biden this year. It certainly won't be him, I don't think, this year. I mean, that's extreme. Something desperately has to go wrong. If that happens, then we can have that. Then he's probably in that discussion. But in the future, I think he's gonna run.
We forget that the people right now who are making the biggest difference are the nameless, anonymous healthcare workers who are putting their lives on the line and serving shifts that sometimes don't end for 24 hours. There is not anything that any politician does that even comes close to that kind of dedication and sacrifice. That being said, there is, in my mind, a great deal of value in creating a beacon, a visible point that can become a rallying point. Now, let me back up a bit, because I will tell you that I think it's a riot that you called Cuomo. And the reason is that I freaking love raw oysters. And one of the greatest raw oysters anywhere on planet Earth is called a Kumamoto. And every time you call Cuomo, all I can think about is that delicious, perfect oyster. And it makes me so hungry. And I can't have one for a long time. I don't know where I'm going to get a good oyster. That being said, a lot of times what happens is when we want to control a situation and we want to put a ring around a concept, or in particular a personality, we take our own name for that person to exercise that kind of control. And I think that that's just a cheap shot. The point that, think about a battle, think about a group of Marines charging to higher ground. Okay, the person who puts that point on the map, or maybe holds the flag at that point of higher ground, is not the hero. The hero are the people who have to rush through the bullets to hold that piece of ground. But this concept of a rallying point, I think, is very important. And if we lose sight of the people who are really doing the work, the people who are really making the difference, then we're lost. Okay, because it's not Cuomo or Trump or Hogan in Maryland or any of these governors or senators or politicians. It is the people at the hospitals, the people setting up the field hospitals, the people on the ships that are coming to provide further care. And look, Cuomo is rising to the occasion. He wants to be the rallying point. I do not see this as a power play for him, but you and I have talked about this. I mean, anybody who is the governor of New York, anybody who runs for president has got to be an egomaniac. And he undoubtedly is. Not only that, and this is something I can't stand about him, and I'm very sorry that his little brother has the illness, and hopefully everything goes okay for him, but I do not like dynasties in American politics. Like, really do not like dynasties. And he is part of a dynasty. I don't like a Clinton dynasty, I don't like a Trump dynasty, and I don't like a Cuomo dynasty. And I don't know the history of this family. I don't know the history of his father's attempt to hold on to power for a long time. But these people love power, and that should make us very suspicious of them. All of them, not just Cuomo. But he's in that group. So he is rising to the occasion. He has seized the reins to try and get his message out there. He believes, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but he believes that his message is one that is going to save lives. And I get the impression, and I feel like I have a pretty good BS detector, but I get the impression that he is motivated out of goodness and out of the interest in trying to help people and save lives. That being said, he is undoubtedly, in terms of his visibility, in terms of the success that he's having in getting his message out there, getting the media to fall in love with him, it's obviously going to be on his mind. Do I want to be president? And you know, that's a shame, because I don't want him to be president. But he's got to be thinking about it, because the media has fallen in love with him. The people of New York are rallying around him. And every time he opens his mouth, like, he's saying the right thing. He has not fallen on his face. The standard of other politicians is extremely low. And he has gotten over that bar with a little bit of panache and a little bit of style. And now we got Governor Cuomo to talk about for the next 4 years, at least.
You know, New York is an epicenter for a lot of things. It is the modern Rome in modern times. And in so many ways, it represents America and the melting pot of America. It misses on a lot of things, but it has a very unique cultural importance in America. And the governor and mayor of New York City and of New York State, respectively, have consistently gone on to more powerful things, been in play for all sorts of things. You know, presidents, the list is long. Even not just for running, but actually, you know, becoming one. And so it's an interesting situation he finds himself in. But in any win, when you're the talking head of an organization, you know, the CEO of a company that's performing great, and it's because of all the hard work that the workers are doing, they're getting credit in some ways, right? People are talking about, you know, these massive companies. Now, are the CEOs worth it? In most cases, they are. And in a lot of cases, they can be a big reason why the company's turning around. In so many cases, when it comes to government, however, everything is overstated. The success, the importance, the literally all of it. It's literally overstated and overplayed, and pretends to be this, you know, without this we wouldn't have it, and without him getting on, and he plays that card really well. He plays that, he handles the pressers really well, and thus his image and perception of that is high. And I think the media is once a darling, and they've gotten one to some degree for them. And it's a hard thing to sit there and look at and to say how this guy couldn't end up being a presidential candidate. I'll address the other thing, though. I think most people, even as much as I hate politicians, even as much as I don't think there's a governor on the list that I like. I don't even like Abbott in Texas that much, and he's a really nice guy, and I actually think he's pretty strong in terms of trying to protect people's rights. Nonetheless, I'm not going to sit there and be like, man, Texas is doing great. That governor really, really did it for us. No one's going to do that. No one's going to say that around here because we're not sitting there looking for some overlord like half these people apparently are. And so, from my side of things, the credit should go to all the individuals who are doing these great things, who are really making an impact, and the people who are, directing traffic should be exactly considered and given what they deserve. Good job directing traffic.
Great, great analogy there. That I think is what these people are doing, and it's different from a guy like Bezos, a guy like Musk, a guy like Gates. Those are situations where it all does flow from the genius and the incredible commitment to hard work, and it to a great extent, like the lack of interest in self-image. I mean, maybe at a later point, these guys get to such a position in their wealth that they do, but even now, Musk doesn't.
It's okay.
It's really all right. Well, I I don't think Musk currently cares that much about what he looks like and what people think of him. But I will say that in government, and this is a point that I think you've made and helped me understand a little bit, the sort of wretched apparatus of inertia that has left the government in the state that it's in means that these people really they are just more like traffic cops and just kind of like make sure people don't crash each other and you get your passing grade. There was an article, and it's a sign of our age, not our age. It's in how many years old, but this time that we live in, people are so starved, not just for overlords, but for celebrities. They want to see someone who they're like, oh, if only I were that guy, if only I were that rich, if only I were that beautiful, if only I were that in control of all these uncontrollable circumstances. So there's a quality of like admiration and almost a little jealousy. Like they want to be like that guy, the person. And Cuomo has fit into that nicely. But there was a thing I read recently where it's like, if you're a salesman and you've got an audience that wants to buy, it's like somebody did your homework for you. Somebody wrote your entrance exam for you. You don't have to do any work. They already want your thing. You don't have to convince them. So all you have to do is park the car. All you have to do is finish the deal. And interestingly, our deal maker president, he has trouble with that because he gets caught up with his own issues. And what you're seeing with Cuomo, I think, is that he's got this super receptive audience. He stepped into a void that Trump created because of his personality and because of his other problems. And man, everyone is so desperate to have that person, and they picked him. And he's got all these cases, and he's got such a desperate situation on his hands. So, he's become the guy. And again, to think that he doesn't want it and doesn't love it, I wish that were true, but it's not. He loves it. He clearly loves it. And in part, look, I love seeing people who are great at their job do stuff. Like if you see a developer just like churning through work, like I could never do that, and I love seeing that happen. And I kind of love seeing him like rise to this occasion and just kill it, because this is politics 101, and he's not just passing; he's excelling. The problem is that the whole politics 101 class and 201 and all the other advanced classes, like there might be a fundamental problem with that. But putting that aside, he's doing it exactly the way it's supposed to, and he's getting a big reward for it. And it would be naive of me to think he's not going to try and leverage that somehow.
All right. Thank you both. That's all the time we have today. If you enjoyed our discussion, please be sure to like and subscribe below and join us for another edition of Take Two.